Today, we are talking about organizing the kid stuff in our garages and the routines that go with it to keep it organized and maintained. Welcome to the Prepared Enough podcast. I'm your host, Natasha Mila, former teacher, mom of four, and firm believer that a well-prepared home can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. In this podcast, we'll explore ways to design organized, intentional spaces and rhythms that build your child's responsibility and bring more ease into your day. The simplest adjustments often make the biggest impact. We will chat all about the tiny tweaks you can make as your children grow. If you're ready for your home to work with you, not against you, you're in the right place. Hit follow and let's get started. Hello. We are here with episode 29 of the Prepared Enough podcast. Today we are in the garage. Normally we just have 2 episodes each month. They're kind of boring in the fact that they just get right down to business with organizing and routines. So I thought it would be a nice change of pace to add occasional episodes in about things that are saving my life, things that we're loving, things that are making our life simpler and easier. So, I used to have an old podcast before I kind of changed over to Substack to record these. And so my older podcast was a little bit more like this. And so I'm kind of adding it back in. I have been mostly just putting these kinds of things inside of my newsletter that I send out a couple times a month. But now I'm going to add some things into the podcast because I'm trying to keep my newsletters a little bit short and sweet because people don't have a lot of time to read. And so this should be a little bit fun. I'm going to try to add one of these in each month. We'll see how it goes. I'm not making any promises yet, but we'll see. We're going to have them be occasional. So I'm not going to commit to any official dates. We're going to kind of test things out and see how they go. So this month, the month of June, we're in June right now. I was supposed to send a podcast episode out last week, but we have been so busy. It was the first week of summer in our house, and I also am running a summer camp next week, and it's an art camp for kids ages kindergarten through 2nd grade. And so it's a young crew, and I'm doing some fun projects with them, except the projects require a lot of preparation on my end. And so just the whole planning of it all, and then buying the materials, and then prepping the materials, and I'm still not done. I'm going to hopefully wrap that up today. But it has been a lot of work. So we are almost done with that, and then the actual camp should be pretty easy, actually. But anyway, this month we're in June, and we're still going to try to fit all of these podcast episodes in, even though I'm a week late on this one. But we are going to today talk about the garage, and we're going to talk about both organization and the routines for the garage space today. So we're going to talk about how to organize the kid things in the garage, and then we're going to talk about how to maintain that organization and keep that area cleanish. It is a garage. And then paid members this month are going to get an episode on a few things that we do in the summer to teach our kids independence in 3 big areas so that they can be quicker and more independent when school starts without it being a whole thing. So that's what paid members are going to get this month. And then for everybody, again, I'm going to do a fun episode later this month on a few summer decisions that I only make once to simplify my life as much as possible. I don't really like decision making, so doing them once and rolling with it is good with me. So these are like summer decisions that I've kind of honed in on, and this is just what we do like every summer. These are decisions that are the same every single summer. So I'm going to do an episode later this month on that. So today we're talking about the garage space, and we're just going to get right down to it because there is no reason a garage needs our fluff time. So we are talking about only the kid stuff in the garage today. So this is important because I know if you have a husband like mine where they do project after project after project, and the sawdust and the scrap wood and the work stuff all will eventually be put in a future shed that will be built The rest of your garage, like mine, might be entirely chaotic on any given day. So I have really no advice for that. It just is what it is. Love your husband well, but you do have some control over the kid stuff. And I'm here to tell you a couple things that we do to organize the kid stuff. I should have counted them for you. And then a couple habits that we do to maintain the organization in the garage for the kid stuff. As always, take what you need and leave the rest. So, organization. We're going to go right into organization. So, we keep hooks, we actually don't have hooks. We have little screws, but you could keep hooks, nails, or screws in the wall down low that you use for hanging helmets on. So, your kid, you want to probably keep those by the bikes to some extent. And yeah, you could also just hang your helmets off of the handlebars of everybody's bike, but that just depends if they're going to fit in the space that you have with an additional helmet on there and not be like snapping things as you're trying to like yank it out and whatever. So yeah, we keep them down low on the wall right near where we keep our bikes, and that's really helpful. We also have these really little, like individual bike racks for all of our bikes. My husband just made them last summer, and they have been super, super helpful. One day when we have a bigger garage and all the workshop stuff is in a different area, I'd love to have just one large bike rack and maybe even keep our adult bikes on it or something, or just hang the adult bikes. But either way, it would be nice to have one larger bike rack, just because the little ones that we have move around still, and it's still a little tricky for kids to kind of get their bikes into it. But it's so much better than just having them in there with nothing. And so just because we have a really small space right now, this is working good for us. But if you have a larger space, maybe combining making a larger rack would be better. But I'm going to link to I found a link where I basically found the same thing, the same little individual bike racks that my husband made. And so I'm going to link to that, but I don't think he didn't follow any link. I'm sure he just kind of like Googled some pictures or something and then just made them. So maybe he didn't even do that. So yeah, I'll link to that just because I was like, oh, I'll find one that looks like what we have as an example. But yeah, they have been really helpful. And so if you have a small space, these would be great. If you have a larger space, maybe consider doing like a combined bike rack. We have a charging center. So this is also really useful. It could be just like a little tabletop area or something where all the batteries for things are kept. So we have batteries for tractors, and we keep our battery for our blower. And my favorite outside tool is the blower, and I'll get to that later when we talk about the routines to maintain the garage space. So yeah, just a charging area for anything that needs batteries that you have outside. And then we have I just want to encourage you to find a separate space for the equipment that's not being used, like bikes that will one day fit a younger child, but today is not that day and you already have 6 bikes that you have to find space for in your small garage. So do you have like a shed, or can you hang them from your garage ceiling, or just somewhere else in the garage that's not right near the kid stuff, so that they're not trying to pull out that stuff and see what it is and whatnot. So just tuck it away somewhere where it is separate from what they're actually using that year. And this really goes for any garage toy or kid equipment, but especially for things like bikes or other larger items. And the last little thing here is pack away any winter things and pull out the summer things if we're in the middle of summer here in Wisconsin, in the United States where I am living. And so the kids have little snow shovels and sleds and other winter things that all get packed away on a higher shelf or in a separate area. And then we pull out the summer stuff like lawn chairs and dirt shovels and sand toys, things like that. So pack away what you don't need so that it's not just all right there, It's just like if you had a dresser and stuff, I would say, okay, well, put the sweatshirts back in the bin when you don't need them anymore, or the fleece pajamas in the middle of the summer can go back in the storage bin because you don't need them having clutter in your drawers for no reason, right? Because they're not going to wear them all summer long. So yeah, same thing with the garage. Okay, generally, I'm going to just talk general organization. Generally, organizing the garage is going to look really similar to organizing kids' spaces inside. You're going to want lower shelves, low hooks, bins or tubs that you can see inside of. In the garage, I would not have really baskets or anything because that's just dirty. Obviously, it's more helpful if you have clear bins. But even if you don't, just having it without a top on it or something. If it has a lid on it and the kids can't really see inside, that would only be encouraged for things like that you're not using, that they're not using, and that are just for you, like extra training wheels or something like that for a bike can be like stored away because they're not being used. But yeah, so bins and tubs that you can see inside if they have kid toys inside. And then generally try to keep like with like, like you would inside. So for example, keep all the sand toys together, all the roller skating things together, all the biking things together, all the bubbles together. Keep the scooters all parked in one area and the bikes parked in another. This just helps everybody involved know how to better clean everything back up. And like, if they're just tossing a bunch of stuff on shelves in any which way, it's just going to cause a lot of chaos. There's going to be chalk in random bins. Like, you're just not going to be able to find anything. So yeah, I also find like when we're unorganized like that, and we end up like wasting money because I'll like buy more chalk and be like, oh, I didn't even know that we had another chalk container because things were just all willy-nilly in here. So yeah, I'll help you save some money too because you'll know exactly what you have and where it is. So yeah, that's about it when it comes to actually organizing a garage space for kids. I just had those couple little things to note, but it's pretty much exactly like organizing any inside space for kids. And if you've been listening to the podcast episodes, you've had a bunch of little tips on that. So now we're going to chat about habits and routines that are needed to maintain that organization in the garage area. So I only have a couple things here too, but I'm just going to note that garages are generally dirty. They are outside. And again, for me, it's the sawdust. Love your husband well. So you're going to need routines to keep things not totally filthy and routines to keep things organized. So we're going to talk about the filth and then we're going to talk about the organized. In all honesty, I don't do much cleaning of our outside things. I'll bleach the splash pad and stuff like that. But mostly I just clean things if they get really disgusting. Don't do work you don't need to do. It's the outside. So it's not meant to be super clean like the inside. Mostly the way I clean the garage is that I will use the blower. So we're going back to my favorite outside tool, the blower. I will just blow like a madwoman from the back of the garage and out the garage door. And then I will just keep blowing a portion of the driveway and the back patio where we often play and like color with chalk and stuff. So it's like clean on the ground on those cement areas. And sometimes I'll even blow out our back entryway room, which is right near this area too. So that's basically how I keep things clean outside. It's super fancy and novel, I know. You don't have to have a magic, unique system for everything though. So or really anything at all, I suppose. Most often, it's just about doing the work. So just blow out the garage. And I just kind of like angle that blower towards their toys sometimes and whoosh out the sawdust and any other dusty stuff. And it'll look pretty darn clean in there. All right. And then we have 2 habits that we do to keep the garage kind of orderly. So the expectations for the kids are that they clean up whatever they can, and whatever they need help with, they park at the front of the garage. So sometimes bikes are hard to put away for littles, or we have big riding tractors that the kids need help unplugging the batteries from sometimes. Stuff like this just gets parked in front of the garage, so I'm not running around all around the lawn and trying to like pick up a tiny little shovel here, a cup there, all kinds of random little things. So I will call my kids back outside to clean up anything in the lawn that they left there. So that'll, curb that behavior really quick. And then the expectations for mom or parent or whatever. I will in my house, I will straighten out and do a general tidy of things every few weeks in the summer. Inevitably, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 items will be in the wrong places and need tidying, or things just might be looking kind of crowded because they're not like packed into the garage very nicely, or yeah. So just I kind of space everything apart and I put things back where they need to go. And I just do like a general little tidy every couple weeks when it's getting a little out of hand. It's not like I say the phrase every couple weeks, but it's just like when it gets messy, right? Like when you notice there's a problem, like a kid screaming because they can't get their bike out of the garage or something, or, things like that. So if there's a problem that's I'm noting, or it's just like there's little stuff all over the floor or something because a bin dumped, or they didn't know where something went and so they just like left it out or something like that, and then I'll kind of go around and tidy everything up a little bit. Okay, but yeah, that is it. The blower is really the secret to it appearing cleaned up. Highly recommend. All right. Thank you for listening to this garage episode. I hope it was a little useful. Garages are a little more boring than the other parts of your home, but it is like satisfying in the summer to kind of just quick clean up your garage. Next up on the podcast is for paid members, and they are getting to know kind of what we do to help our kids get more independent on 3 big house tasks in the summer before the school year. Happens fast. The school year comes fast. And then non-members and members alike will, as always, get a short preview of that episode. I mean, members will get the whole episode, but the non-members will get a short preview of that episode, and I always make sure that it includes 1 or 2 little tidbits of good stuff for free. And then in a few weeks, I will be back with a full episode again, and this one will be on the summer decisions that I only decide once. And then I just keep copying them every summer because I don't like to make decisions. Okay, so if you have made it this far, please go rate the show. I never ask, and I am told that I should apparently say this at the end of episodes so that people actually go and rate the show. So thanks, y'all. Go do it. I just said y'all like an actual Southern accent, and I don't do that. That was weird. Okay. Go do that. Rate the show. All right. Thanks. I'm going to stop being weird now. Oh, and I'd love to see you in my newsletter space. I really love that bit of being online. It's my favorite. I really, 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 really love writing my newsletter a few times a month. So sometimes I do a short story in our newsletter, and I'll have it in more of like an essay format. And then sometimes, most often, I have it in just like a short little fun newsletter full of some good things for you. I like to do, it's called Drink, Water, Eat, Snacks. That's like the title of the newsletter. And so I like to kind of separate it into those 4 sections: drink, water, eat, and snacks. And here's how I split it up. So drink is like a quote or like a fun fact, a little verse or a story, something with good news to fill your cup and inspire you. And then water, the water section is like, where do you need watering? Will refer to kind of like ways that you can improve relationships or health or habits or home, like things like that. So it's a little more like self-helpy. And then eat is a literal food. So I like to do things in this section about like meal plans or recipe favorites or whatever. And then I always add what to listen to while you cook. So this will be where I put in my books and podcast recommendations. Yeah, fun section like that one. And then snacks is just whatever I feel like. Sometimes it's just like personal updates, like bite-sized personal updates, or snack-sized stories, just short little stories about our life. It's usually our more personal section. So yeah, some photos, things like that. Okay, so I would love to see you join. I will link to it in the show notes, and it would be really fun to have you in that space. I really like that space. Actually, the last one that I just released was an essay story. I was trying to think of that. And it was like our crazy dates that happened to align and with other events and stuff when we had this miscarriage a couple years ago, and all the wild coincidences that are not really coincidences. So it's kind of a crazy story. So go read that if you're interested. I'll link to that in the show notes too. All right, now for real, bye. Bye. This time. Bye. Okay. Talk next time. Drink water. Eat snacks. Tash.